It's iconic in the hearts of many moviegoers, but the Alien series has a special place in the heart of many gamers too, and it all goes back to things like this. Okay. I don't think it actually does go back to things like this, because this is a cheap rip-off of Pac-Man and Frogger. Not exactly Ridley Scott's finest work. Fortunately, by the second attempt, people had managed to sort out what they were actually trying to make, that being not a Pac-Man game. They managed to make Alien the computer game, which was tense, exciting, nerve-wracking, difficult to control in the modern era, and has something that looks very much like a masturbating alien in it. Yep. ...1986 rolled around, and to go with one of the best films ever made was Aliens the computer game on the home computers still. This time it was a kind of proto-first-person shooter where players could control a number of different characters from the film. What this means is that Burke can kill aliens, which is odd, and Gorman is always an asshole, so has to die. As you would expect, Square made an Aliens tie-in for the Japanese mark. Wait, what? Why did they? Oh god, have you seen this? I'm just going to be quiet and let you take in the majesty of this game. If there's one thing this 1990 arcade tie-in for Alien shows us, it's that if you wait 4 years after a film comes out, people will forget entirely what happened in it, and you can slap any old crap in there. I mean, look at this. This all definitely there is a power suit at least, but there's also gigantic wrecking balls that try and drop on you. Did that happen in the director's cut? If you were to ask a random person on the street what their favourite game was in the Alien series of games, they'd probably say, "Get out of my way, stop talking to me and give me my hat back." But if you were to ask a gamer, a number of them would say Alien 3 on the Mega Drive or Amiga or Game Gear or Master System or NES. Which is fair enough, because it's still a good fun game, if not very hard. After they'd appeared together for the first time in the Dark Horse comics in the early 90s, it was time for the Alien and Predator to start appearing together in games. Unfortunately, the first one that came out with them together was one of the worst games on the SNES. How can you get a scrolling beat-em-up wrong? Well, here's how. One of the most interesting entries to the Alien series of games was Alien 3 on the Game Boy. It was a developer clearly working within limits, and they knew those limits. It's a prison roaming adventure where you wander around picking up items, opening doors, fending off aliens eventually, and it's got Brian Glover in it. I don't think any other game has Brian Glover in it. As the Mega Drive owners danced their merry jig in the early 90s saying, "Ho ho, we got Alien 3 and you didn't on the SNES," because that's apparently how they all talked, eventually it did come out on the SNES, and to put the Mega Drive SNES, which is better, argument to rest forever, it's actually this one because of the coloured fire. Yes, I repeat that, coloured fire. While the first Alien vs Predator release was phenomenally poor, Alien vs Predator The Last of His Clan on the Game Boy was phenomenally poor. It starred a fat bloke with a cutting disc who waddles up a ladder unconvincingly and pretends to be a predator for some reason. I think that's the story. Always remember the age-old saying, if you've released a film, release a video game based on it, release many video games based on it, and have none of the video games anything like the film whatsoever, because it was quite a boring and weaponless film. Instead, release games like this, where you shoot hovering tanks. This comes across very much as if somebody played the original Alien vs Predator release on SNES and went, hang on a minute, how can you get scrolling beat-em-ups wrong? So they took the license, they slapped it in a CPS2 arcade board, and they made a game that's really, really good fun. Until you get bored of it after about 10 minutes, of course. You look at it and you think, yes, it has aged, mainly because it's aged, but it put the proper template in place for the future Alien vs Predator games, and it did make aliens controllable for the first time. So for that, we thank you, AVP on Jaguar. If you ever wanted to combine the rich, deep, nourishing and utterly delicious lore of the Aliens universe with an illogical, boring, ugly, bad-sounding and badly drawn adventure game, then Aliens a comic book adventure is for you. On the plus side, it does have a man on the toilet and this woman's face. Alien Trilogy saw another attempt to slap the license into the genre where it actually belongs, with this being another, what was called at the time, Doom clone, taking in the events of the first 3 films because a 4th one came out the year after, annoyingly. It was the type of game that some people, I don't know who, might have skived off school for. And please don't tell their dad about that. Some love this game because it was erroneously renamed Aliens vs Predator Classic 2000 on Steam, even though it came out in 1999. Others love it because it was the first Aliens vs Predator game with an S at the end of the word aliens. Some love it just because it's still one of the best games with the Alien license attached to it that has ever been released. And it's phenomenally quick too. While some may have mocked the games that came out surrounding Alien 3 for having absolutely nothing to do with the film, I feel the need to mock Alien Resurrection for having quite a lot to do with the film that it's based on. Not because the rest of the game's bad particularly, it's alright, it's a bit slow and clunky these days, but it's enjoyable. No, I feel the need to mock it because it has that thing on it. Oh god. Apparently, it seems they were still releasing games on the Game Boy Color in 2001, at least if Alien's Thanatos encounter is anything to go by. I went into this expecting something like Alien Breed. It is a bit like Alien Breed, except rubbish, so kind of like the modern Alien Breed releases then. The AVP series jumped from long-time caretaker Rebellion into the careful hands of Monolith. What this resulted in was a stronger story and googly eyes, but it did lose a bit of the hardcore edge that the original release had. And what's with the aliens not having the fisheye lens view? That's just silly. Do you remember the past? Back when EA would release an RTS on console and then swiftly realise why they shouldn't bother releasing RTSs on console. they just don't. They don't work. Back in the hands of Rebellion, this should have been the AVP to end all AVPs, but instead it was a game where as a Marine you can punch aliens, and Marines can block your Predator attacks when you're a Predator, and generally it just misses the point of what makes an AVP game fun, which is strange since it was back with Rebellion. But hey, at least it's kind of pretty. It's one of those things that you don't really think about, and then when it's right in front of you, you go, actually that's a really good idea. Taking the Aliens license, slapping you in control of a few Marines on the Nostromo, and making a Metroidvania game around it. What's not to like? Well, the fact that the game isn't actually great, it's good fun, but it's not brilliant. But other than that, I mean, the idea's great, yeah. You can say what you like about Gearbox's shooter, there are only two things that actually matter. First of all is that the Wii U's gamepad can be used as a motion detector, meaning yes, you have a motion detector in your own house. Second of all is that it has welding in it, and welding is just brilliant.